G'day folks, Pakiara here and welcome to a new episode of How To. Today we are going to show you the shop, specifically the equipment that you possibly will start any map with, and also just a little bit more detail in some of the aspects of the equipment that I'd like to highlight and point out to you. And hopefully it will give you a bit more familiarity with the aspects of certain equipment or tools as they are said. So what we want to do is get into the shop. So the quick way to do this is press the P key on your keyboard. This takes you into the vehicles menu. Basically it's the shop. So we'll go down the menu here quickly. We'll start with this top one here. Okay, it's just the brands. So if you prefer to sort by brands, maybe you're a big Massey Ferguson fan, so you can just scroll down to find M and click on Massey Ferguson, and that'll just list all the Masseys. Yeah. Next one down, and I mean I hardly ever touch this to be frank, but it's there. Might come in handy for you. Next one down is what you'll get into anyway. So this is the vehicles. So these are all the tractors, skid loaders, mowers, cars, and any miscellaneous things that are basically what you're going to drive. Okay, you got a range of small tractors, medium and large tractors. If you click into any of these, double click, or you can press the enter key to select, but I double click, it will then list all the relevant tractors or vehicles. Again, just a reminder, I am not using any mods in this series. I'm not using any DLCs either. So what you're seeing when we go through these is going to be the very basic default equipment and tools. Okay, so that's the vehicles. That's how you can get in, and we'll go into customization of vehicles when I go to buy something in another episode. Today we're just going to cover the very basics of what we have. Again, then we go to tools. So this covers anything from your trailers to your combine headers, mowers, stone pickers, plows, cultivators, so other equipment that you're going to generally need to do to function and to do the work in the fields. Okay, so it is quite long and varied. Don't over worry about it that there's a big list here. Just don't fret. We'll just keep with the simples in this series anyway. But it's just something there to have a look around. Just clicking, be nosy rosy. And then we got here is the objects. So basically these are, so we got pallets. So the pallets will cover fertilizer, seeds, lime, wheat, oats, and some food, as well as salt. Big bags cover the same things, but they're in massive bags. Basically 1,000 to 2,000 litre bags of product. Actually 1,000. I prefer to use big bags when I'm buying seeds. I find for the price and for the literage, it's a good deal. But then we've got pallets here again, so liquid fertilizer, herbicide. Again, you don't really need to worry about those. And bales, if you just want to buy bales straight off. Really, you only need to buy bales if you've got animals. We can then come down here to packs. I've never used the packs, but it could be handy to have a nosy at if you're, like for example, you're curious about, I wouldn't mind having a look and seeing what it takes to do potatoes. So you can just click into potatoes and it will give you very basic equipment suggestions. It won't list every single piece of equipment, but it will give you an idea of what you would be required to have in order to start with potatoes. Okay, that's as an example. We then go into the market, the used sales market. It's a new addition to FS22. I really like it. Check it out every day in game, and it will list any market things. When you're a multiplayer, one of the good things is if you do sell equipment, it actually shows up in the market as well. And I think it also does show in solo player the next day as well. And you can see you can get some good discounts here as well. So something worth checking out if there's something piques your interest anyway. And now the ones that we really want to look at today is, we'll start with the key. This is your leased items. When you start a game, you won't have any leased items, okay? But it's a good place to know where to find any items that you may have leased or rented. For us, we're going to go into this garage picture. And these are all the items that you own on the farm. So when you start any basic game, as easy mode, you will get a list of varying equipment, and it will change depending on the map. So what's in Elm Creek will be slightly different from Berlin, and Erling Grant, for example, as well. So we'll just start here. So again, what you would want to do is, we've got medium tractors, so to get into here we will double click the mouse button and we can see here I've got 3 medium tractors. Don't worry too much about what a 4755, an 810 or a 360 is. I don't bother about it to me, but it's just the make model really. Some people really get into specifics of that. It's not what this is about. So this is a John Deere tractor. It's going to cost you, well, the value of it, sorry, is $86,800, and you can see the slight difference with the other ones. So we'll have a look at these stats. Now these here is what I want to cover. Now cover a lot of these will be the same throughout all the equipment and tools that you utilize. There will be some differences, and I'll point out the differences as we go along. So straight away, this is your hourglass, if you like. It's how many hours you've had the equipment running for, how much time you've used it. As you can see, 0.0 hours fresh out of the shop. We haven't even started the engine yet. We probably haven't even jumped into the cab. It's 190 horsepower, so keep in mind the horsepower of your tractors. This is the control, so power shift, manual or auto, things like that. I run everything on automatic, so it really doesn't matter to me, but if you're using a shifter, for example, this may very well be in realistic gearing. You may well want to pay attention to this. The litres per, this is the fuel, how many litres of fuel it will hold. The maximum speed here, which you can see is 21 miles per hour. The weight of the tractor, so 8.3 tons. Something to keep in mind if you are going to be hauling something that may be a little bit heavy. You might want to counterbalance it, and we'll show you how to do that later. The track, so these are basically the tyres that are being installed on the tractor at the moment, or the equipment. How many months you've owned the vehicle, again straight out the shop, 0 months, and the damage percentage. So again, thankfully, a nice brand new spanking tractor. And if we click into the other John Deere now, you'll see there's slight changes. So this is 175 horsepower. It's got a manual plus power shift. Gears, 344 litres. This goes slightly faster at 24 miles per hour. And its weight is 7.4 tons. So slight differences, and you'll see in the wheels as well. Let's look at the Massey Ferguson now. With 170 horsepower, power manual shifters again, 306 litres, 24 miles, 6.7 tons, and the tread wheels that it has on. So that's our tractors that I have started off with in this series. Again, the equipment you start off with may differ slightly from what we are showcasing today. What it is, it's mainly what I want to show you is these things, what to look out for, and some ideas and suggestions on specifics as well. So again, big thing to note about any of your tractors or vehicles that you're going to be using is the horsepower. More than anything, to me, that's the biggest thing, is your horsepower. I don't use a shifter, so I'm not really fussed about the gearing. The speed's pretty good if you want to race around the map by itself, but when you're on the farm doing the field work, it doesn't really matter. And the tonnage does play a role to an extent, especially if you're going to be hauling some equipment that may, depending on the weight of that, you might want to counterbalance. So that is something just to be mindful of well. So let's go back. So now we can see here, just at the head, we'll just cover what we've got now. We've got a harvester, we've got a car, we've got a trailer, a header. So the header goes onto the harvester, okay? That allows you to harvest the crops. We've got a cultivator, we've got a seeder, we've got a header trailer, which traditionally is the header goes on the trailer, and then you can tow it around with the harvester, and then you've got weights as well. Now, what I'm going to suggest straight off the bat, and this is what I do generally to most of my maps, is if I've got a car, I'll sell it, because I'll use a tractor. I'll use one of our small tractors if I need to go back and forth to places. Some may want to keep the car, just it could be a handy dandy later on down the track to haul things. But hey, what I would sell the car, if you look in the car, it's going to give you $20,800. And I would also, unless you're in a map that has really tight, narrow roadways or farm roads, I don't think a header trailer really benefits you. On this map, I know we can get away with just driving the harvester with the header still attached. So I would sell the header trailer as well. Again, double click into it, press sell. It's going to give you a little bit more money if you do that. And of course the weights. So what we will do is I will go into weights, because where I mentioned before you're counterbalancing, you would counterbalance with a weight. We've got two weights here, both 750 kilos. Okay, so we've got 3 tractors, 2 weights. You might want to have a look at that if you want to sell one weight, just a little bit of extra. But again, just sits there, it's not going to hurt you. So let's go into the harvester now. So the combine harvester, this is the very basic harvester, the Duatsfar top liner. I actually quite still like this. I am into my 4th season in Elm Creek. I have purchased an additional 4 fields since the start, and this harvester still does a really good job for me. So I wouldn't be too keen in getting rid of it and trying to upgrade to a bigger one. I just don't think it's necessary right now, and I don't think it's really going to benefit you long term until you get really into these bigger fields. Okay, so just stick with the basic one that you may have in the game. Sometimes it's the Duatsfar, it may be slightly different. So what we're looking for here is the Duatsfar. It's the top liner 4090H series. Okay, that means what it means, whatever. Again, you can see here 0 hours is a 310 horsepower combine. That's the gearing, the fuel liters. It goes to a maximum of 12 miles per hour. Now, this is one of the things that I want to point out. So this symbol basically means the capacity that it can hold, it can store. So when we're talking about a lot of equipment, it will list it as a litre. Sometimes it will list it as a metre squared or cube. So this combine can hold up to 8,500 litres of crop. Okay, it's a 9.7 ton combine harvester. That's the tires it's got on, 0 months 0. So the crops, let's get to the crops now. So here are the crops that this combine is able to harvest. What this means is once the crop has gone through the header, the harvester is able to process and hold these sorts of crops. It can hold wheat, barley, oats, canola, sorghum, sunflowers, soybeans, and corn. Make a note of corn and sunflowers when we go ahead. Okay, so that gives you, and now these symbols will be on anything that's able to hold crops or store crops. So it gives you an idea of what it's going to be able to hold. That goes for trailers as well. So just if you're going to buy a new trailer, just make sure it's going to be able to hold the crop that you may already have in your silo or you maybe have on your fields. Now, there's another button which is new to Farm Simulator, which is good. So we can, for a lot of the equipment, you can, especially things like the harvester, or you can just go and click on combinations. And this gives you an overview of what combinations go well with the combine. So if we click on C or click here, this lists me the equipment that is compatible with the Duatsfar combine harvester. So we can see here we've got a header, we've got the trailer, which we own both. We've got another header here, so a header, and we've got another header here. Now you'll see with these two headers, this one can do corn and sunflower. This one can just do sunflowers. This one, wheat, barley, oats, canola, soybeans, and sorghum. But it can't do sunflowers, and it can't do corn. Keep that in mind, like I said, when you're looking at when we were talking about the combine and what crops that could do, and then match it with a specific header. So again, you may need a separate header based on what you want to harvest. So we can go back, that'll take it to our combine. Again, like I mentioned, sunflowers and corn. Now, go back again, we'll have the car. We don't need it. There's the stats, pretty straightforward. Sell. Okay, we're not needing this tutorial series, we're going to sell it. Actually, before we go to trailers, let's talk about the headers. So this is the header that we start with. This is the header that we saw as a combination. And I want to discuss here again some extras. So this symbol here is your width symbol. So we can see that this header is 6 meters wide. So this will harvest product or crops within a 6 meter width of the combine. Okay, so it's attached to the front of the combine and the width of it is 6 meters. The capacity will run at 6 miles per hour. So even though the combine said it could run about 12, once the combine is hooked up to the header and the header is working, and we'll show it in the next video, or another video, once the combine is working with this header and the header is on the ground harvesting the crops, you will be limited to 6 miles per hour because that is the maximum speed that this header can move, can rotate. This is able to do wheat, oats, barley, canola, soybeans and sorghum. Again, remember how I said keep an eye on the corn and the sunflower that the harvester could do. This header cannot do those, so you may have to look at the alternative headers. Okay, so the main thing on the header is the width and the speed, as well as what product or crops it can harvest. Okay, so we'll go back. Now we'll go into the trailer. So this is a Welga valued at 10,400. Again, you can see the hours, the weight, the wheels, how long we've had it, and the maintenance. Now, one of the things here, this here is that same symbol, capacity I'm going to call it symbol, but it's 8 meters cube. I think it's a cube, apologies if it's not. Just basically translate that to 8,000 liters, okay? That's the best way to do it. You just, by 1,000, 8,000, so that holds 8,000 liters. And if we quickly go back to a harvester can hold 8,500 liters. So the trailer that we have can hold just shy of 2 full loads from the harvester. And again, it's just, this is manually just rotating back and forth or scrolling. The game does that automatically for you, showing what sort of products that you can do. So what I'll do is I'm going to do a separate video on the crops, and I will cover what these symbols mean or these emblems mean. Okay, so don't panic right now. So we've done the harvester, we've covered the tractors and the trailer and the header. Now we'll go into the cultivator. A cultivator is another tool that is used to prepare your fields for seeding. I will do a separate video on how we set up these anyway. So this is the one of the basic cultivators. Again, it's a Arabe EG3-9. Okay, it's 90 horsepower, 729 kilos, 2.5 meter width, working width, and it goes a maximum of 9 miles per hour. So some things we need to be wary of. Okay, this is a 90 horsepower, so it requires a tractor or a vehicle that can do, generally it's a tractor, 90 horsepower to be able to pull this. So we're good for that. Tractors are all well and able to haul that. It weighs 729 kilos, so then when we look at a tractor, we probably want to look at maybe a counterweight, because we're going to have 729 on the back. When it's on the ground, it's not too much, but when it's raised, it will, it may cause some of the smaller tractors, it could tip a little bit, so that's when you probably want to look at adding one of those weights up the front if you need to. We can go back here, and now we'll have a look at our seeders. So again, this is a very basic seeder. This is what you use. This is what you will need to plant most of the crops in the game. Okay, there is a difference between a seeder and a planter, but what we're going to deal with now is just what we have, and that's a seeder. Again, it's got the 125 horsepower, so we'll need a tractor that's capable of a minimum of 125 horsepower. I always like to get there or thereabouts. Sometimes you can kind of get away with it slightly under. This holds 600 liters, so it will hold a capacity of 600 liters worth of seeds, which I told you can buy by going through here. The weight, again, so it's not very heavy, so you should be fine with not needing a weight on the front. It's 3 meter width, so that's pretty good for what it is. So again, on these fields, very small fields, not a big problem. And again, 7 miles per hour is the maximum speed that you will be able to work when this is active and actively seeding. Okay, so it's a seeder, that's a seed symbol. Okay, and what it does, it automatically puts the seeds in as well. So what we're going to do here is show you that it can do wheat, barley, oats, canola, soybeans, sorghum, oilseed radish, and grass. So quite a bit more varied crops that it can do. Again, some of these will have a combination, and it'll just give you some combinations this via what the weight is. The header trailer, well, we're going to sell this, but again, I'll just show you, it's just straightforward, basic stats there. Again, this is what you put your header on to transport your header around. It's especially useful if you have tight roads or farm roads, and you can't really fit the header on the combine while it's attached through those gaps. We're going to sell it because I know this farm and I know this map can more than handle the jandal. And our weights, which we have already touched on. So for this is generally a good starting equipment. You're really well set up here. The map is by default, like we touched on the last episode, not going to be plow. It's not part of the options that are set by default, and we left that turned off. However, if I was playing this game, I would turn periodic, whatever word, plowing on. So I would want to buy a plow. So you might want to buy a plow for that, but I'll cover all those in future episodes, don't you worry. But the main thing here I wanted to touch on was just the base equipment that you may get, but mainly what to look for in some of this equipment. If you look at some of the, generally does the same things. So hopefully that has covered everything for you guys. Again, to purchase seeds, I recommend big bags. Double click in here, seeds. And you just buy one bag and it will give you the seeds. I think this game will already have seeds in our seeder for us. Okay, and I'll touch on how to do all that anyway. So back. Okay, so there folks, I am Pakira. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it cleared things up for you. Hopefully I was able to cover and highlight what I wanted to highlight, those slight changes and things to look out for. If you do need any clarification, please feel free not to hesitate and comment down below. I'll be more than happy to clarify that either in a future video or ideally direct comment with you. Okay folks, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, I am Pakira. As always, take care of yourselves and each other. Kia kaha.